So before the teacher went on maternity leave, she was supposed to grade something. She ended up not being able to grade it. I thought she did. And so any student that was missing it just automatically gets a 45. So I gave students 45 because that's what it looked like. Because it looked like the grades and they didn't turn it in. Turns out a handful of them did. Like 3 of them turned it in on time and the others all turned it in late. So I made a note to the students that all looked like they turned it in, but I wasn't going to go through and look at their exact dates until they like resubmitted it. And I was just like, hey, if you got a 45 on this, let me know that you turned it in and let me know what day you turned it in. One kid had submitted it late, put late on it. And then when I sent out that message, hey, if you got the 45, let me know what day you submitted, goes back and says, oh yeah, I turned it in on time. I look at the private message that he sent that said late, and then looked at the data from like the Google Classroom stuff, and he didn't even start the project until 2 weeks after it was due. And I was like, sure, 65.
These kids don't even like get like how much you can see on the back end of shit.
We've told them.
They don't. Huh?
We've told them.
I know, but it's like it's in one ear, out the other, and they're just like, there's no way they're gonna check it. Like, you don't even try hard nowadays. Like, they truly think like technology was invented during their time, and they're the only ones that know the secrets of the magical smartphone, right?
Meanwhile, they don't know how to do half the things on a computer that any of us do.
It's like, you don't understand. We grew up during this time. The technological boom was during our time. We're sounding like old ladies now, but the technological boom was during our time. Right? It slowed down during
became a thing during our childhood.
Right. Like, it slowed down during your time. So back it up, kitty poos. Like, back it up. On that note, roll intro. I'm Rebeca.
And I'm Deanna. And we're
the Halfwit Sisters. So this is kind of perfect. Actually, welcome back. So we actually haven't sat down and recorded for our episode. Like, we haven't sat down and recorded since I went down to visit you 2 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks ago. Yeah. So you might have seen a video that said, hey, our project went to hell in the handbasket.
Oh my God.
It did. It went to hell in a handbasket. Nicely, like it would. We'll talk a little bit about that. Let's talk. So what I'm thinking is, here's what we'll do. We'll talk about how the project kind of went to hell in a handbasket. Then how we kind of rescued it. Then I would love to kind of segue to, since we talked about like technology and how it kind of boomed in our time, there's an article that I read a while ago towards the end of towards the end of April, talking about memes and stable coins and not stable coins, but NFTs, non-fungible tokens. This is another side of cryptocurrency that I would love to talk about, and how this is something that is very growing and big and new, that I would love to add to our show today. And then if there's anything else that would be fun to talk about, like differences between our time and their time that you have found that's popped up, because it's definitely there's been some talk about it on TikTok as well, of like kids going back into new spaces, and even those that might be like first time conners that are like going to be like shell shocked at the fact that, you know, they're not going to have full control or be able to say things that they normally would have said online, right? So it's like those things, we're going to, you know, maybe we can talk about that on this episode today. So let's start off. Oh, and also this is going to be major late, but it's our mom's birthday, so happy birthday. Happy birthday. By the time this episode comes out, our mom has had her birthday, and I expect a call from her to interrupt some point during this episode, but let's continue. So let's kick it off with the
Becca.
fallout of our yeah.
Real quick. You're like this entire time.
Oh yeah, no, that's the way my mic is set up. It won't catch sound unless I got it like right here.
But normally you're not as like hidden behind it. Like today it just feels like you're just here.
Might be kind of nervous because it's like it's like a return, and I'm just kind of like, I've got a new hair going on, and I don't know, and I'm just kind of like nervous, and you know, I'm just like, I don't know, and don't look at me. Anyways, let's open up. Let's start it off with our project that went south. Like almost immediately, I arrived in New York, and the first news we got was the dude had COVID.
Yeah. So there were a couple different people that I had reached out to do various things, and one was a cinematographer. And he was gonna work the camera and do all that, and then he ended up with COVID, so he like couldn't even, like, it was not even gonna be a thing, right? Then like a week before we're going, we get everything ready. I got the actor sizes, ordered their costumes. I get a notice, hey, I tested positive for COVID. From one of the actors.
That was and that was our actor that was going to play Parker. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And that's annoying because I like didn't have anyone else that I could call.
Mm-hmm.
And I even put out a Facebook post on one of like the casting groups that I'm in, trying to replace this actor. Just, you know, can we get someone? Had like 2 people reach out in interest, but like one was only available in the morning and the other was only available in the evening. And I was like, no, guys, I'm like, we're filming all day. As long as we need to, because it's out in Huntington, and somehow someone on this casting group kind of made me mad because they took it upon themselves to take my listing, copy all the information, and sign me up for a completely different website to put my post. Not like shared it on another Facebook group, which would have been fine, but signed me up for another website.
Mm-hmm. Did you get it taken down?
Yes, eventually I did get it taken down. I spent like an hour trying to figure out how to navigate this website that I had no clue where it was, had to figure out how to get access to, and it was just a headache.
Yeah.
Reached out to the admin of the Facebook group that I originally posted and was like, hey, you have people doing this. I don't mind them sharing across Facebook, but they're signing people up for websites, which is not appropriate. made me mad.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. But
Yeah, well, I mean, there's plenty you can do about that. It's a community on Facebook, right?
yeah, but I don't know who did it.
No. So, like, one of the things to do is you have a community. Yeah, no, I get that. But one of the things you can do with communities is have community guidelines, right? And part of being accepted into a community is having like your community guidelines there front and center. And if you can figure out whoever broke the community guidelines, you give them warnings. But essentially, nobody can join your community unless they see those community guidelines front and center, right?
So there are things like that with that group.
Yeah, but that's also like what you can't enforce it. I understand you can't enforce it, and you're running on the honor code. Like they see that front and center, but are they going to honor it? That's the other side of it, and I get that. I get that. But at least you have it there and you can say, well, I have it in the community guidelines and it says, don't go posting these people's information on other casting websites. They have it on our thing for a reason. Don't do this. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's what you could have done. Anyway, let me back off of that. I used to run communities. Let me run back off of that. But yes, sidebar ended. I need to stop this.
Yeah.
We'll eventually get through an episode where we won't do sidebars.
No, we won't.
So, yeah, and so you came home and you were like in kind of like a panic mode. Like mind you, I just landed. I had gone through a harrowing journey through the city. I'd been called by my mom, by my younger sister. She's speaking a fucking another language to me about taking like this number and that number and this number bus and this number train. And I'm just like, that color sidewalk. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell any of y'all are saying. I'm just going to start with getting a metro pass. Like, I was like, I'm at step one, and that's getting the fucking metro pass. Right? And then even when I got into the bus, I was like, what do I do with this? And the guy's like, I was like, multi-pass. The guy's like, multi-pass. Like, I got it. What do I do now? The guy's like, there's a little thing out there that you gotta go. He's like, I won't take off without you. You just gotta go over there. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, total fucking country girl. Like big city, like I don't know what I'm doing. And DJ's like, my life is falling apart. So I get to her apartment. I'm like me and your boyfriend are just kind of like, DJ's gonna get home and she's gonna be absolutely upset. And DJ comes through the door all like boom, bang, clash. She's just like, it's all ruined.
I was not.
He's got COVID. It's just like, yep. This is about what I expected for our project.
Look, I'd gone through so much just to like internally be comfortable enough to reach out to people.
Right. No, and I get that. Yeah.
And then I don't think I told you this, but the actress that we got to play Skylar almost backed out when she learned the name of the actor we got to play Parker. Because
what's the name? Okay.
She has a restraining order against a guy who with the same first name.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And so she's like, oh, if this person's involved, I can't. I'm like, whoa, no. I know the situation with that. And no, different actor.
Woo! Drama behind the drama. And it's, woof. No, you didn't tell me that.
I was like, oh my God, I almost lost our actress because of his name. And it's not even the same guy, but we're okay. And then COVID. I was like, fuck.
Right. So my immediate thing was like, I'll just play him. I was like, Parker is our non-binary character. It didn't matter whether it's male or female. We could go with androgynous. We go with an androgynous look as much as possible. Like Parker's look from the beginning to end was always going to be like baggy clothes, anyways, baggy clothes. What was it? A jumpsuit, really? Like, so would have worked out. And I was like that, and then you're like, no, I'll put out a casting thing. But in my mind, I was like, I'm Parker. Why are we putting out a casting thing? But I was like, I'm just gonna let her go through it. She needs to do this. I'm just gonna let her do it. and then it just kept going and going. It's like the actress ended up getting hurt. Then your boyfriend, who was gonna be our cameraman, ended up getting sick. And we're just like, well, you come home like. When your boyfriend got sick and had to stay in the hospital over the weekend, you come home and you're like, well, obviously we can't do it. It's just like, yeah. We just kind of had to leave it at that. And so the question for us became, our project was off the rails. There's no saving it. Absolutely, we could not save it. And even if we wanted to try and like pull something together to try and save that paintball thing, we knew it would be too much work for us.
Yeah.
Knew it would be too much work just for the two of us. So we came up with a solution. What did we do, DJ?
So I had this script from for a while. I have so many random things on my phone of like skits. And so I had this one on my phone. I was like, look, we can do this one. All it requires is our kitchen.
Right.
And Beca rewrote it, did some edits because mine was based off of Magical Roommates, kind of like Harry Potter, Muggles in New York type thing. And Beca rewrote it to be less that. And that next weekend we shot.
Right. It took us, probably if you amounted all the work we did, it took us about a day to do.
Yeah.
Today with the figuring out the idea, then the writing of the script, and then the filming of it. It took us about a day.
Yeah. And we got a late start on the day we did start filming. You didn't sleep the night before. I waited as long as I could, and then I started cleaning.
I think we're like, a lot of us, like all three of us, were kind of in apprehension. We didn't really know what we were going to do because we were like, it's a 2 minute or 3 minute. Well, our video ends up coming out to like roughly maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But we knew it was going to be 3 minutes, and we knew we had all this work ahead of us. And so we were all kind of apprehensive about it. Like, I couldn't sleep the day before because brain was just running a mile a minute. And I feel like you and your boyfriend was also kind of nervous because you guys felt like there was going to be a lot of work just trying to visualize all these different shots.
And it's one of those things with the paintball. I asked.
Technically, you did. It is what it is. You hired these people. Yes, you asked, but technically you did hire them.
Yeah.
To take on the parts of the work you did not feel comfortable with doing.
Yeah. And one of the things, like, I know it on our intro, it says I'm a director. I direct myself when I have a one-angled camera. I'm not used to doing more than one angle. I'm not used to doing more than one person. I don't enjoy directing, but I do it out of necessity. Or like, I don't mind so much doing like it on stage because it's that kind of just that one angle you get with stage that with film you don't really get. So I had hired a director for the paintball episode, because I didn't feel comfortable doing that. But all that being said, I had done storyboards and had thoughts and things with the paintball episode that I didn't have the time to do for.
So we have some background video, which I'm going to be editing and putting out at a later date. That just shows like the chaos we had behind it.
Yeah.
But there were times where like you and your boy clashed together over some things, and I stepped in as the mediator, or like I really didn't do much. I really just was kind of there as the mediator, like taking in both your guys' ideas and then saying, yeah, this is what you both mean, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Like that was it. I just kept tempers low.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I do for us anyways.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, and trust me, you just even doing that was very helpful, because both boyfriend and I have very different visions on like how things get done, and I don't always know how to best say what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And there was straight up one point where we filmed something and I walked away. I could not tell you how I did not like what we had just filmed. I just knew I did not like it. And so I walked away because I was like, I need a moment to figure myself out.
Right. So there was, an example. This isn't in any of our backgrounds because all three of us were working in that moment. There's this example that stands out for me. We were trying to get our close-up angles, and we're trying to understand how to work the gimbal and have all three of us in this kitchen so that we could work each line. The idea was to have each of us go, you and me were the main, right? Each of us do our acting, and to have him dance around us with this gimbal so that we could do it, right? So we were going to end up acting the scene like 3 different times with him following us each time so that he could get each of our lines. What we were working on was the movement of the flow of the scene. And you kept saying, I keep facing this way. You need to be this way. You need to be this way. But his brain just wasn't getting it. He's like, but I'm here and I'm catching your face. I don't know what you mean. Right? And he's like, he was standing there in your face, following you around like he was supposed to, like the directions had been given. And he was trying. But as I was standing back and I was watching, I was like, oh, I get it. What he's not seeing is what we've been doing the entire time. Which is, I am in the background, and we move through the entire kitchen, me behind you, and you going in one direction, and me sort of cleaning up as I go behind you. And so we had to, we actually have to walk through this scene with him actually doing that. And that was like the first time like we really had to talk through a scene. And then after that we kind of started figuring out, okay, no, now we actually have to talk through scenes, and that started to make a lot more sense. And from there we were able to start making more progress on what I felt like we were able to make more progress on our film from that point on.
And it really was, because like I said, and it's happened before where in college when I did a directing and you ended up being my actor again.
It is what it is.
And
I'm always there to help. It's what I do.
Yeah. I just I know what I want and I say it how I want it, and I don't know how to else to word it. Mm-hmm. So, and you've done it, and I'm so happy you were able to speak, Deanna, and figure it out.
I've lived with you for 25 years? Like, come on.
So, and it's a lot helpful. And then once we started getting that going, it was easier. Going back through, I realize there are a few things that I forgot. And if we had another day of filming, I would have loved to be able to get some of those pickups that we needed.
Yeah. And you called me after. So after you did, like, I guess the first edits through, right?
Mm-hmm.
You called me. The first thing you said to me was like, after I watched it, I asked you this question. How did you feel about it? I didn't tell you how I felt about it. I asked, how did you feel about it?
Yeah.
And your thing to me was, I could have done better. And if that doesn't speak to like the creative spirit, like the creative spirit and the creative that's like always critiquing themselves and has high standards of themselves, I don't know what does. I could have done better. Every artist has said that. I could have done better, right? I expected more of myself was the next thing you followed up with. Right. And for me, like this being like our first official film project together, like I was like, this is more than what we had come from. Like now listening to like what we had, like all the problems we had from trying to get to our first film to like where we are now, we overcame a lot. I hope you realize that. But we overcame a lot. So we're gonna have that mini film out for you guys soon. But this is so you hear like what we went through.
Yeah, and it's very much a learning curve for all of us, boyfriend included, because he does do photography.
Mm-hmm.
Film is a new medium to him, and he's also doing his own film for the same film festival but different category. That he's also learning a lot for, and so it's like he's learning how to use the camera. We're learning how to figure it out and doing all of this stuff. So for all the learning that we have done, it is great. Mm-hmm. For what we have come up with, I love it. I'm always going to think I could do better. That's just...
Well, it's one of those things because you've been in projects where you've had higher quality production.
Yeah.
You expect more.
Yeah.
So same with me, because I have written and published narratives, I expect better narrative from myself. Right? I expect better stories from myself. The moment I hit publish and I find even a clump of like paragraphs that just doesn't flow right, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Right? Like I'm right there with you. I completely understand. So yes. So we can talk a little bit more on that when it comes out. But for now, this is where we're at. And we had a fun time. I had a fun time, despite all our frustration.
My favorite one part to film though was the part with the fishing line.
Yeah. I think that was definitely the decompressor for all of us. We had just spent like 4 hours all yelling at each other to get like the right shots. And then we have like this one shot where so we have a gnome. The whole thing is like these gnomes are stealing from us. And we haven't even talked of what the idea is. It's gnomes stealing from you, right? And so we get to like this one part where you say something that upsets the gnome and it throws a bowl at you, this plastic bowl. And we're like, how do we get this bowl? And it's like before I was standing off camera throwing it at you. And then we were like, no, there's going to be a point where I'm on camera, so we need to get this bowl to fly at you. And the gnome's like behind me. And so we got the fishing wire. And like you and him were standing there like yanking this off. And it was just like this big decompression of just like you and him just like finally letting like all the tension you had built up throughout the day just like unwind. We had way too many shots of us just like yanking that fucking thing. It's just for both of you.
You're standing there and you're just like, I just gotta wait for this to come flying past me.
That's all I could do. But I was like, it was just both of you had the biggest smiles on your face, and you expected me to have a calm look on my face. I failed. I absolutely failed in every regard.
You did not. We did get a take where you held it together long enough.
I felt like I failed. But like both of them were just like giddy children in like a candy store. They were just like, we get to eat this. It was just so
It was
freaking
just like we kept doing it, and we would miss the camera because what it needed to do was come straight towards the camera. That way, when I did the cut to where you're actually throwing it at my head,
yeah.
it would look seamless. And it did, and it does, and I'm really, really happy with one, that cut, and two, both of our parts in that.
There's also the other thing, like we don't know how to get rid of the flashing line.
Yeah, no. Ow. It's gonna stay.
So we're like, that's just gonna stay. We don't know how to get rid of it. So yeah. All right, so that's going to be coming out soon. We need to have it ready for the festival by June 4th, I think is what you said. So that's coming out soon.
I keep forgetting. I just need to go out and get the B-roll that we need. And I guess you have all of it. It should be on your phone, right?
Nope, it's already in the drive.
Okay. I just need to look at what you have and maybe take one more. That way I can get that right B-roll and do a couple more shots with the gnome to maybe put that in, and then we'll be ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. It's already in the drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it. I got you covered. Okay. Next topic.
I don't have that up right now, so.
Let me pull it up real quick. So there's an article that came out. Do you remember that girl, that meme that had gone around for like 10 years? The girl that just likes to watch the world burn, the little girl.
Yeah, where she's got that like evil smile, her house is burning, and she's like looking over her shoulder.
Yes. Give me a second. Let me bring up the article. This girl made bank. Let me just put that out there. I'm just gonna put that out there. This girl made some fucking bank. Except cookies, because that's what we do nowadays. Share screen. Because we can do that. We don't have to keep like taking screenshots and crap. Like, what are we doing nowadays? What have we done with ourselves? Okay. So this is the girl who did, who's named as Disaster Girl. And she had that meme. I don't know if there it is. She had that picture, right? And this was like the rage for like the longest time. It's still known, but like I forget how old. We were in our teens when this came out. Yeah. Okay. Dating us. So she just made bank. She made, I believe, $430,000 off of this shot. So what she did is what's called a non-fungible token. So this whole article is talking about that. So let me gather my thoughts together, because I talked about this. In fact, let me just drop this in here. Here is the TikTok that I did about it.
Non-fungible tokens. If you haven't heard of them, go check out this article. Most people have heard about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And some of you have also heard about blockchain and how it's a digital ledger that can be uneditable. A non-fungible token, or an NFT, is another side of blockchain. There's a lot of different industries that are looking into how to use NFTs, but I think that content creators can benefit from it the most. This is a very simple explanation, but step into a hypothetical with me. You're a content creator and you put something out on the internet. You want to make sure that you have full ownership of this. Traditionally, we go with a copyright, but now we can actually do an NFT. This will allow us to have a one-of-a-kind token that is specific to our work. Along comes someone who says that they actually are the creators first. But because of the nature of a blockchain, we have recorded evidence that says we're the ones that made it. It's just a few things to keep in mind.
So just to recap, a non-fungible token is another side of blockchain. It is a sort of like an ISBN number. Do you know what those are?
Yes.
Okay, so ISBN numbers, if you don't know, that's everything that is attached to, like, where's my camera? Everything that is attached to items, right? Yeah, an item, right? So essentially you're making this very unique ISBN number for a digital object that has no actual physical object in it. Am I even making sense? I feel like I'm making sense.
I do not understand NFTs.
Yeah, I'm trying to like give me a second to bring my head all together because I have way too many ideas going on about it. Because some of it is like I'm really excited about the whole idea, and I'm like trying to like tap down on it before I lose my fucking mind. Like the others, like I've got to explain this to make sense. But you can edit some of this out.
Yeah.
Whoever's editing this video can edit this out.
So here's how I'm kind of understanding it.
Yes.
Is they're taking the metadata to prove it's the original, whether it's the original print or I guess this guy, his first ever tweet, and selling that. Like it's an original artwork.
Yes. So essentially, a non-fungible token is a digital object that is attached to an item, right? So like this photo. So in order for them to say that that is the original photo, right, they decided to use the original metadata of that photo. From the very first time he ever took it, loaded it up online, like this is the history of that object, right? This is the day it was made, the day it was loaded, the history of that object. It's very important to the creation of the token. Okay. What else they could do, what else they did is they put a little code in there that said anytime that this is like a royalty code, like anytime this is sold or anytime somebody uses this part of the picture, they get a little bit of something back from it. So that's really cool. So they use non-fungible token. I think they use Ethereum. Yeah, they used Ethereum to build this non-fungible token for this particular thing. Now, a lot of art works are doing this nowadays, especially for anything on the internet, because it doesn't have an actual physical body that you can attach to, like an ISBN. ISBN number. I don't know where I was shaking that at, but ISBN number. ISBN number. Right? It's unique to that token. It's unique to that item, actually. It's unique to that item. So a lot of content creators are looking at this as like a good way of saying, yo, this is mine. I created this, and then selling that online to other people. And because non-fungible tokens are exactly what they sound like, non-fungible, meaning they cannot be edited. Meaning if you come in there and say, I'm going to fuck with this thing on the back end to make it so that it says that I own it, you can't do that. That's because of the blockchain that powers it. The blockchain holds the data that says that keeps the history. So it says that Paul made it, and then DJ came in there and tried to fuck with it. Right? And so people are like, yo, we see that you try to mess with it. That's not going to work. Right? This is all very loose. Let me just put that out there. Very, very loose and very simplistic way of explaining it. There's a lot more in depth, and seriously, if I actually took my time to really sit down and explain how all of this really works, it would take longer than this, episode to go through. And I'm down for that. I think I've mentioned before, like I'm down for that. I'm excited about this because this is a real world case of a successful NFT working. And I know there's been tons of them in the past. Like if you've heard of CryptoKitties, that's also an NFT. Those were like the fun little cats you could buy and then breed, and you'd get unique cat variations off of those. I have a couple. I have a few CryptoKitties, so you could do that, and each kitty would have its own unique code or NFT to it. So I want to talk on this because it was like, this is new. this is something that could be attached to movies and pictures and books, right? And what you can also do is, like I said before, put a little royalty code in there. So every time it was sold or somebody used your movie or viewed it or whatever, you could get something back from it. And I think that in the long run, if we see this take more popularity, it could even be like a good way of competing against copyright because of the way that the blockchain it works.
It really does give people more control over their image if it is something that's becomes easier to manage.
Yeah.
Because there's always like people taking photos and you know, you put something on the internet, it's there forever. Well, now you can take control and see where that image has gone.
Right. Well, so like one of the biggest problems for a lot of people who share their images online, especially let's say Instagram and Pinterest is like notorious for this. You put a picture online, it's aesthetically pleasing, right? Suddenly that is everywhere. It is everywhere. You load something up onto like one of the major picture sharing sites, it's on every single picture sharing site after that.
I just from like a hold on, let me close this door real quick.
So on NFT,
We got our new fridge, and so Neil's showing it off.
Oh, so an NFT, we'll talk about that. That's a good sidebar we need to talk about here in a second. But so an NFT is like a great way to not just like say who's the owner of it, but also show the history of where it originated from, and then how many hands it passed through. That's actually why a lot of like old art institutes are looking into using NFTs or just using blockchain in particular to actually map out the history of art.
You know who would benefit from this? Women who decide to send some racy photos.
There is a group called Spank Chain. The porn industry is looking into it. So again, this is something that I would love to go. We should probably just do an episode, DJ. Let me just put it out there. I will by the beginning of June. Okay, let me put this beginning of June. I'll do this. I will do it for everybody. Beginning of June, I will talk about crypto. Fine, I'll fucking do it. I'll talk about
one of our episodes in June will be crypto.
One episode will be crypto, and I will talk about it from blockchain all the way down to fucking porn sites. All right, I will do it. I will do it. So here's the reason why. I will even look up Spank Chain for you guys if it's still existing, because I was looking. So what, 2-3 years ago, there was a big crackdown on just about every single site, from Patreon to Tumblr. From Patreon to Tumblr. Even Amazon cracks down a little bit on it, but not as hard. Wattpad has just done this recently, where they have been chasing off all like non-safe for work creators, right? So anything that has to be porn, sex work, they chase it off. And there's only a few sites nowadays that allow it to exist, like OnlyFans. You hear about that a lot. Pornhub is still super popular and picking up and creating a space for that. So a lot of people are like, well, how are these sex workers still going to get money and still afford themselves if they can't actually do this? Because a lot of creditors, credit card companies and banks really crack down on where that money is coming from, right? So a lot of sex workers are turning towards cryptocurrency as an alternative form of income, because they know that banks are very, very picky about where that money comes from.
Yeah. Well, not just like in like porn, but like if like, and you hear about it all the time of like the revenge porn of like guys leaking their ex-girlfriends nudes. Is like you could the more entrepreneurial or thoughtful girl might turn those photos into NFTs before she sends them out.
Well, not just NFTs. There's an entire group. So I used to work for, again, I could just make an entire show about this, and I will. I'll talk about my history through cryptocurrency on that episode, but I'll do like a very mini one here. There was a project that I was on that was basically talking about creating your digital footprint, turning your digital footprint, including like all of your information, your pictures, into an actual token, your own token, essentially. And then people would have to pay you in order to access your information. So let's say you wanted, let's say like Walmart wanted to know whether or not you like the new Adidas, right? And they wanted to use your information because they saw at one point in time you had purchased Adidas, right?
Hey,
but
Becca,
they wanted to know.
Stop sharing your screen.
Oh, no. No, it's important that you know. But they wanted to know, so like Walmart wants to know if you have like the latest Adidas, like if you're continuing to buy like the latest Adidas and stuff like that, like if any of your kind of information has changed, right? They could go to your profile and be like, hey, do you still? And you could get a little bit off of that because they pay you through cryptocurrencies, so to speak. This project didn't really get off the ground, but the whole thing was like they would pay you to access your profile and all of your information through cryptocurrency to use that. I didn't really get off the ground, but that was an idea. And there are other projects like that, though, that we're looking into using. I'll have to see if any of those projects are still around. But yes, that was a thing. It is very much a very important thing that a lot of people also looked into, especially when the whole GDPR, greater data protection regulation, was going into effect 2 years ago in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know too much. Let's move on.
No, but it sounds like,
I could speak all
and
day.
we'll have an entire episode of this next month. But it sounds like as these get more and more popular and easier to understand for people, a lot of people will probably be using them in different ways.
So easier is, I don't know. That's the biggest problem with cryptocurrency, with the crypto space, not just cryptocurrency, with the crypto space in general. It is probably, it's difficult to get into because the knowledge barrier is so high. Yeah, you can talk about, a lot of people now, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people now have familiarity with cryptocurrency because of Bitcoin and its fluctuating prices, and a lot of people are just watching that, right? And now a lot of people are getting into the miner space and interested in mining. Like I had a dude message me a week ago who's like, hey, you remember me? I remember you when you were into crypto, and I told you I wasn't interested in crypto because it was volatile. Well, guess what I'm into now? In mining. And I'm like, the fuck, dude? Like, I told you, and you were like, that's too risky, and now look at you. But like, because of its fluctuation, its volatility, like a lot of people are worried about it. But the barrier to entry is so high, and just like knowing some of the smaller terms and like how it works and how the back end of it works can be difficult, especially if you're not if you don't have a financial mind for it.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes in the future. And eventually I'll learn more about it.
In my episode on cryptocurrency.
But it's one of those things I'm looking forward to it. I know the blockchain stuff kind of interests me because of like the security of like being able to see where something came from and what's been changed and stuff like that will be interesting. And hopefully in the future it does become something that's more accessible as it develops, because it is it's an emerging technology.
Right. If you want to get a head start, there's a friend of mine you can go check out. His name is he is Ask Dr. Bitcoin. He just started releasing I'll have to let him know I did this, but fuck it. Ask Dr. Bitcoin. He just started releasing some newsletters about the crypto space. He's been in it. He's what they call an early adopter, and he's been in the space since 2011 or even before that. Again, he's an early adopter, and he's kind of the guy who got me started and taught me a lot of the things that I know today. In fact, he's one of the first people that I worked with when I started learning and marketing for cryptocurrency 2 years ago. So really, like, whenever it's like him and then him and everybody underneath him that knows. So he, like, Ask Dr. Bitcoin, go check that out. Link is going to be in our bio.
Okay. We only have a few minutes left, so do we want to really quickly talk about why I have a mini fridge right there?
Yes, so let's go ahead and we were going to talk about, like, Gen Z and their shit, but fuck them. Let's go ahead. Tell me about your mini fridge.
So I went off of measurements that I was given measurements to buy a new fridge that were wrong. But we didn't know they were wrong until we had pulled out our old fridge that was leaking. It was spilling water everywhere. Pulled it out as the day that the new fridge was supposed to come in, and it didn't fit. And so we hadn't had a fridge for a week, and which meant we were spending a lot of money on takeout food that we couldn't then save because we had no fridge. And I got fed up with it, and I was like, no, we need a fridge. So we went to Home Depot, ordered a fridge, but it wasn't going to come in until today. And I didn't like that, so we went and got a mini fridge.
You're going to have to, since you've been talking about this fridge, you're going to have to take a picture and put it in.
Yes.
Who's ever editing this episode, put the picture in.
But I didn't know that fridge was going to be that big.
Were you expecting it to be smaller?
The mini fridge, yes. But it's cute and it's adorable.
Hey, that's all that matters.
And it's retro.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I sent this picture to y'all, to you, our other friend, and my best friend. Yeah.
And she's just like, I've got the wrong all she sent us was, we got the wrong measurements. And I was like, that's a very retro fridge. We thought they had sent you that fridge. And we were like, they better be sending you a new one.
Yeah. So the reason I sent that, I guess I don't remember ever telling you about when I got the mirror, my big stand-up mirror. I thought it was going to be smaller because when I looked at the measurements, they didn't register in my head as the actual dimensions. And so it got there and I got it out of the things and it was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And so I remember telling my best friend about this, and it was not the only time that this has happened to me when the measurements don't make sense in my, like, I'm bad with measurements. I'm good with measuring and taking measurements, but taking the measurements and reading the measurements and displaying them in real life, I'm not so great at, apparently. So I thought I thought this fridge was going to be smaller. I thought that fridge was going to be smaller. I thought.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I want to talk about something that's, like, kind of just out there. So again, I'm going to talk to my friend about whether or not I can really mention this, but so a friend of mine was talking to about one of his projects, and he was talking about how Taoism really inspired his project, was one of the things that was kind of inspiring his project. And I was like, Taoism? He's like, yeah. He's like, have you heard of it? And I kid you not, many, many years ago, you guys have seen my bookshelves. You've seen my many, many freaking reference books. I have one called World Religions. It has a section that is just dedicated to Taoism. And because I have been reading, so he mentioned the name of one of the founding fathers of Taoism, or Taoism, and the reason why it's either referred to as Taoism or Taoism is because of just the Romanization of the word. So whatever, I'm just going to refer to it as Taoism from here on out. It's Taoism. So the reason why he says the name of the creator, which is this, I'm not even trying to say it. All right, and then there's a different name of the creator in this book. Now, because I've been reading all of those gay Chinese romances, I was like, don't tell me that he has one name, this has another name, and the dude has a third name. And he does, because it's common practice for them to have like 3 different freaking names, which was like very confusing for when I was reading Modo Dao Shi, because like they would have 3 freaking names and you'd have to figure out what each name was for each character. And so it was like, of course it would. But I was just like, man, he mentions it. I'm watching all of these Chinese things. We didn't even talk about the Chinese show we were watching. And that fucking goddamn. Oh my god. Have you watched any episodes since? We'll get to it in a second. Okay, but I was like, man, if it doesn't come for Ahsoka, that my friend who's doing this crypto project is like using Chinese inspired spiritualism, comes back to like a book that I bought years ago, right? And the funny thing is, it's kind of like part of the whole spiritual. I was like, oh man, I'll get to that in a different time. But we've got a few minutes left. Maybe we go over, because teacher, we have to talk a little bit about this. We can't leave this we could leave this for another episode.
I say we leave this for another episode.
We could just stop here and just record the next episode.
I say we leave this, because it's going to be, I think we should review some of we can review the movie that we watched, the 2 movies that we watched.
Which were they?
With the Paragon.
Yeah.
We can review and talk about the K-pop, not K-pop, K-dramas that we watched.
Fuck, what did we watch? DJ, I don't remember.
We watched Oh My General and The General's Lady.
Hold on. Oh my god. Hold on. Oh My General. So this is preview for next episode, everybody. Oh My General.
General's Lady, which we watched.
We watched General's
Lady.
We'll
say this again that time. But we watched, huh?
We watched General's Lady because we thought it was the one you wanted to watch.
Yes. And it was, but it also wasn't.
Okay.
And then the Paragon movie.
Hold on, let me. It was Two Gods something.
I also started watching it. The second episode just came out of Intimidation? No.
Along with the Gods, the Two Worlds. That's it. That's the first one. But we watched both of them.
Yeah.
Look at this tiny book ass. Look at this tiny notebook. Like, what is with me? I have too many notebooks. I've officially hit 55. I've hit 55. Most of them are empty. And look, people, look at what I brought back with me from New York. More notebooks.
Did we give you a notebook?
Yes, I have it here with me.
Okay.
Hold on. I've still got it. Let me. This game.
No, not that one. The notebook that we gave you.
This gay book. Y'all.
We went to Barnes and Nobles. I left her alone for like 5 minutes. That one.
This notebook that she got me. This
I also
one
got you
says the
another
basic
one, but I forgot to give it to you.
Oh, okay. I don't need more, but send it to me. So, okay, Along Two Gods, Along. Oh, I'm supposed to finish that with Gil, but I'll probably finish that with him today. What else?
I think that's all we watched. Because we got way too into General's Lady and then realized that like, oh wait, this wasn't the one. And then we started really watching Oh My General.
Oh My General, oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
So
Wait.
we'll review those of what we've watched together next time. Did you ever see Strong Girl Bong Song?
Yes, I never finished it, but I did see that, yeah.
Okay, because that was another one that was really good.
I did see that.
Oh.
I've never finished it.
There's another one that I'm watching, like I said, the second episode just came out, and I will put the title here because I do not remember it.
Oh, that one, Something versus the Machines. The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Oh, I didn't watch it. You guys watched it without me.
So I'll talk on that one. So you got time, since you're reviewing all these, you got time to watch that.
Intimidation. Yeah, it is Intimidation on Vicky. I also started watching that, which is really good. So if you have time. Huh?
I haven't. What is it? Intimidation?
Mm-hmm. It's about a girl who's trying to become an idol.
Oh, you know what I could also talk? We've got too many things to talk about. Word of Honor has finally finished. I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave this episode. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of reviews.
We'll condense. We'll condense.
But yeah, so we also Mortal Kombat.
Oh, we did watch Mortal Kombat.
So we'll also review that. So that's all going to be next time. So you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of all our videos.
And we'll see you next
time. Bye.